Hey, welcome back. And one of the fun things about being a video teacher is that your job's never the same. As you can see, I've added a tripod. Just got back from filming. When you're here, no matter when you're here, I'm here Friday, school's closed, no one's here. I just went and filmed 30 minutes with the school nurse about COVID and things we're going to do in the school. So, hey, that's one of the fun parts, is that you do get those breaks built in because you just jump in and do them. But today I want to talk about communicating with your administration. And second to communicating with parents and students, I put them in one bunch. Your administrators are the number two people that you need to have great communication with. And I know that you're probably thinking that's backwards, but it's not. Your students and parents need to be number one, your administrators, and then your community at large. But we're going to start right now with administrators and why it's important. I work with teachers from across the country, and we all have different relationships with our administrators. Some of them are good, some of them are tenuous, and some of them are terrible. I really think that communication is the differentiating point between those three. Because the people that I've found who have the terrible relationships, when I ask them about their administrators, there's nothing positive. It's, they told me I can't do this, they told me I can't do that, they don't give me any money, they don't give me any support, and while that may be true, perception becomes reality, and you take that tone, well, then you're going to treat them that way, and it's going to end up being a situation where you're kind of looking around going, wow, this really does stink, I shouldn't be doing this. But start right now communicating with your administrators. What I would say is set up an appointment in the next week, 2 weeks, and say, what do you want from my program? What are you looking for from my program? What can I do that you would look back in the end of the semester, end of the year, and go, wow, that program's successful. Now, for some, it's going to be a daily news show, and that's a lot of work. Some, it's going to be a weekly news show. Some, it's going to be, I want you to go win films or win film festivals. For others, it's going to be, I really don't know. I just want you to make sure your kids are learning things and you pass the EOPA. Those are the most difficult because they're not concerned with what you're actually producing. So there's going to be some communication issues there that you got to walk through. You're going to have to go, hey, look, I can do all of these things. What do you see from other video programs? When it comes time to make decisions and you see my program, what do you think my program should be doing? Have those conversations. They may be tough, especially if you've been in a school system or a school for a while and you have a new administrator, or you're new and don't know what you want to do. Go ahead and have those conversations. They're not necessarily bad, but they're definitely going to be eye-opening. Make sure that if they want you to do a daily news show, discuss what goes into that. Discuss that in a 90-minute window, there's 45 minutes that are just the production aspect. So you got to discuss how you're going to teach, come up with a plan, come up with an acceptable solution for those things. Discuss what it's going to take technology-wise. Now, don't go in there and go, I need $20,000, 2 new TriCasters, and 15 new cameras. That's not going to be the way it works. I'll go ahead and tell you that. Go in and go, hey, look, you want a daily news show? No one's ever done a news show here. We're going to need a couple of things to make this happen. And don't go with a $100,000 package. Ask for a $500 switcher. They're out there right now. Ask for some software switchers. They're out there right now. Come up with different ways to get your program started, because again, no one starts at the top. You start at the bottom and you work your way up. But you need to have those conversations with your administrators. The other thing I really suggest is that you manage up, and that has been a huge part of my success in education as well as prior to education. I always let my bosses know what was going on, good or bad. And they'd go in and brag and go, hey, look at what I did. But I will go in and go, hey, let me tell you about what's happening in my classroom, or what's happening in my office or my department or what have you. Let me tell you what's happening with this kid. We as CTAE teachers have an opportunity to build relationships with kids that other programs don't. My wife's an English teacher. She gets a senior for 1 semester. She has good relationships with her kids. Like, they'll see each other in the store and go, hey, that kind of stuff. But I may have a kid for 4 years. I just had a kid who wrapped up his 4th year with me. I've only been teaching in this building 3 years. I taught 1 year virtually here. So I've had the kid for 4 years. We've got a great relationship. We've got each other's phone numbers. I know his parents. I see his parents in the store. We say hey and how's this, and Now his little brother's coming into my program. You got to manage good and bad. So with that student, we had some good times. We also had some bad times. And as I was talking with my administrators, we talked about him specifically because he's the model. I want all of my kids for 4 years. Have those conversations. Now the bad, you got to be a grown up. If things break, you got to tell them. If you teach a crappy lesson, you got to tell them. You can't let it just happen and you not know, or them not know. A great example, and they've got to feel comfortable coming to you. I've had 2 examples with my current administration, or my current principal, that are pretty big situations that because we had a good relationship and we knew we could communicate with each other and we had a positive rapport, they ended up pretty well. One of the situations, we were filming a basketball game. I send kids on the road without me. At this time, I was working in a different county, and I had 3 schools, and I was in one basketball game in another area. A group of kids was somewhere else. Well, the group of kids somewhere else did as kids do and forgot the microphone. So as they're broadcasting live this basketball game, they're giving the basketball coach what for. They're kind of letting him have it. Well, the situation was that his parents, the coach's parents, watched every game religiously. So on their big screen TV at home, they're hearing these kids berate their child. Wasn't good. The kids didn't work for me anymore. Let's go ahead and clear that up. But my principal called and goes, "Hey, where are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm on the road." She says, "I need you to go pull that game down." And I said, "But why?" And she said, "Here's what happened." I went, "Oh yeah, I'll get that down in just a moment. Don't you worry." Pulled into McDonald's, pulled it up, pulled it down, and it was over with. But we had a great, that could have gone really bad. That could have, if I had that terrible relationship with administration, that could have gone a lot worse. That could have gone, hey, kids can't be there without you. You need to make sure. That could have changed the dynamic of my program and really my life. The other situation, this was a good one. Actually, let's go with another bad one. Another bad one, I was doing local news, okay? Local news. We had a shooting in our community. And a young lady in our school found out that her father was in jail for the shooting by our school news. So think about that. She didn't know. She thought Dad was away at work. Dad was in jail. They found out because of our school news. Different relationship with an administrator could have meant, yeah, we're going to stop your news show. You're going to have to run everything through us. But they communicated with me. I took it down. No blame was assessed. It was, hey, we're doing local news. This was a local story. It was a big story. Again, communicating. On the other side, the good side, I go in and share any victory I can because I want my administrators, from my CTAE director to really anybody who'll listen, to know the good things that happen. A great story from a couple of years ago, I had a young lady, and one of the things that I will encourage you to do is when you get your rosters, really dig deep into who they are. Do they struggle in English? Do they struggle in math? Do they participate in athletics? All of those things. And one of the things that obviously we should all look for are their IEPs and 504s and things that they're flagged for. And this young lady in particular, if you read those things, she can't read and she can't write. That is what her history showed. Poor English grades, poor social studies grades. She was tier 2 in a couple of things, and it just was one of those things where, I looked at it and went, oh man, this is going to be tough. But I encourage all of my kids to try to be on camera. And I kind of push a little bit, and I had to push her a little bit because she's aware. She knows what her situation is. And in pushing her, she got on camera and she read from the teleprompter, and she did a great job. She wasn't the best, but she certainly was not the worst. And oddly enough, what I found is the kids who perform worse on the teleprompter are the ones who, if you look in your learning management system, Google Classroom or Canva or whatever, Canvas, they're the ones who look the best. They have no flags. They have good grades, decent grades. So I went in and I did. I went to my principal and I said, hey, I want you to look at something. And I said, pull up this student. And she goes, oh yeah, I know this one. Yeah, she was awful in middle school, and she's a freshman at the time. I said, pull up today's news show. And she was blown away. So I went in and had a conversation, and I gave it context, and we talked about how I can roll that into other students and the role that that I can play, because honestly, video production in a lot of schools gets the rap of, kids with special needs don't do well in there. And I totally disagree with that. Because I've got example after example. So when you're communicating with your administrator, take your time, sit with them, pay attention to what they say, and get to know them, so that if there is something that you're going to do that they like. For example, one of our administrators is a huge memorabilia person, like a sports memorabilia person. So if we do a story about something sports memorabilia, you better believe I'm going to email them and go, hey, we got something for you in today's show. And just communicate with them. Also, if you're doing a show or you're doing a film or you're doing something where you can incorporate an administrator, do it. Put them in a different light to the kids. It's kind of like when the kids see you in grocery stores, they go, wait, you're here? Yeah, I'm a person. I eat groceries, and I leave my classroom. So communicate with your administrators, incorporate them into your program, and really just kind of build a situation where you can be successful, because ultimately that is the most important thing, because your long-term goals are to be successful, I hope, and the only way you can really do that is to have your administration on board. And if a new administration comes on, sit and talk with them. And I talk with mine every year. I go, hey, what can we do different? What can we do better? What do you want to see that we didn't do? So make sure you definitely do that. And in a moment, you're going to watch, or I guess you could watch it in 2 days. I don't know. The next video is going to be communicating with students and parents, which they're the most important group that you can communicate